Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. As per the usual, I am Cobble S. Cobble. Greetings and salutations, and welcome back. If you're enjoying the content, please give us a. If you want to find out more and see what else we do, please subscribe and give us a like. And tell us down in the comments below, since this is a Magic the Gathering video, what decks are you playing nowadays? Since the game is relatively changed over the last year and a half. So this is part 2 of our Zendikar Rising unboxing. So without further ado, let's get back into it. We got 5 packs left on top of this other things. Next up, we have a Core Blade Master. We've already talked about that one. We have a Taunting. Next up, we have the Taunting Abermage. Abermage. I don't know, I'm going to probably butcher the shit out of the name, but it's a 3-drop, 2 colorless, green, 2/3, Elf Wizard, Kicker 3. When Taunting Abermage enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, all creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. So essentially gives a lure out. Another one, we have the Sinladui Vision. It's a 3-drop, 2 colorless, 1 blue, instant. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal any instant or sorcery cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And other option, you have the Sindula Isle. The Sindula Isle. Sindula Isle enters the battlefield tapped to create a land. And we got another Swamp Shambler for the rare. Another full art. And we got another card space filler. On to the next one. First up, we have the Cascade Seer, 4-drop, 3/3, Merfolk Wizard. When Cascade Seer enters the battlefield, scry X, where X is the number of creatures in your party. Next up, we have the Farsight Adept, 3-drop, 3/3, Core Wizard, 2 colorless, 1 white. When Farsight Adept enters the battlefield, you and target opponent each draw a card. Next up, we have the Tormenting Voice, 2-drop, sorcery, 1 colorless, 1 red. An additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. Next up is the Joraga Visionary, 4-drop, 3/2, Elf Wizard, 3 colorless, 1 green. When Joraga Visionary enters the battlefield, draw a card. Next up, we have the Expedition Skulker, 2-drop, 2/2, Vampire Rogue, 1 colorless, 1 black. Expedition Skulker has Death Touch as long as you control another rogue. Next up, we have a Living Tempest, 5-drop, 3/3, Elemental, 4 colorless, 1 blue, Flash and Flying. Next up, we have the Turn Timber Ascetic. Fuck it. 5-drop, 4 colorless, 1 green. It's a giant cleric, 5/4. When the Turn Timber Ascent enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Next up, we have Cleansing Wildfire, 2-drop, sorcery, 1 colorless, 1 red. Destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle their library. Draw a card. Next up, we have the Chenjuryu Snare Catcher, 3-drop, Elf Rogue, 1/4, 2 colorless, 1 green. Just reach. Next up, we have a Deadly Alliance. We've already talked about that. Next up, we have the Merfolk Falconeer. 5-drop, 4/4, 3 colorless, 2 blue, Merfolk Wizard. Flying whenever you cast a kick spell, scry 2. Next up, we have the Muraza Root Grazer. 2-drop, Forest, Plain, 2/3, Beast, Vigilance. Tap, you may put a basic land card from your hand onto the battlefield, or tap, return target basic land card you control to its owner's hand. We have another dual card. Bala Gan Sanctuary, a land drop. Bala Gan Sanctuary enters the battlefield tapped, add a forest. Or you can do the Bala Gan Recovery, 3-drop, sorcery, 2 colorless, 1 green. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. And our rare of the deck is the Paleth, well, whatever. World Sculptor. It's a 6-drop, 4 colorless, red, green, 5/5 elemental. When the Sculptor enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 green plant token creature for each basic land you control. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put 4 1/1 counters on target plant you control. That will get broken real fucking quick. And I'm fine with that. We got another full art. And another rando card. Alright, we got, after this we have 4 packs left. We have, first up we have the Scorched Rider. We already talked about them. Into the Royal, we already talked about. We have the Angel Heart Protector. 3-drop, 3/2, 2 colorless, 1 white, human cleric. When Angel Heart Protector enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Next up, we have the Oblivion's Hunger. We've already talked about that. Dauntless Survivor. We've already talked about that. Expedition Diviner. 4-drop. 3/2, Merfolk Wizard. 3 colorless, 1 blue. Flying, as long as you control another wizard, Expedition Divider has, when this creature dies, draw the card. Next up, we have the Skyclave Squid, 2-drop, 3/2 squid, 1 colorless, 1 blue. Defender, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Skyclave Squid can attack this turn as though it didn't have defender. Next up, we have Canopy Baloth, 4-drop, 4/3 beast, 3 colorless, 1 green. Landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, Canopy Baloth gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Next up, we have the Turk Rubble Fort. 3-drop, 0/3 wall, 2 colorless, 1 red. Defender, reach, creatures you control have haste. Wow, that's very interesting. A wall that grants your creatures haste. That's just a rando you can throw in there, and works. Umara Mystic, 3-drop, 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red, 1/3 Merfolk Wizard. Flying, whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard spell, Umaga Mystic gets +2, +0 until end of turn. Blood Chief's Thirst, we've already talked about. Malachir Rebirth, 1-drop, instant, black. Choose target creature, you lose 2 life. Until end of turn, that creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Or you have the Malachir Mire, which is a land that taps for black. And next up we have the Wave Word Guide Beast, 1 drop, 1 red, 2/2. Beast, trample haste. Whenever Wayward Guide Beast deals combat damage to a player, return a land you control to its owner's hand. We got Hollow Roast of Drakes, 1 drop, blue. Enchantment, kicker, 2 colorless, 1 blue. When Root of Drakes enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. Whenever you cast a kick spell, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. Another full art land. And another blank slate. 3 packs left. Classic. First up we have Negate, classic Negate. 2 drop, 1 colorless, 1 blue, instant, counter target non-creature spell. Next up we have Practice Tactics, 1 drop, instant, blue, white. Choose target attacking or blocking creature. Practice Tactics deals damage to that creature equal to twice the number of creatures you have in your party. Put that on a stick, good God. Next up we have the Fissure Wizard, 2 drop, 2/2, Goblin Wizard, 1 colorless, 1 red. When Fissure Wizard enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw the card. Next up we have the Might Murusa, 2 drop, 1 colorless, 1 green, instant, kicker, 3. 2 colorless, 1 green. When target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, if the spell was kicked, that creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn. Gashly Gloom Hunter, we've already talked about. Next up we have the Territorial Scythe Cat, 3 drop, 2 colorless, 1 green, 2/2, cat, trample, landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on the Territorial Scythe Cat. The regular art for the Skyclave Squid, 2 drop, 3/2, Squid, Defender, landfall. Next up we have Rabid Bite, 2 drop, sorcery, 1 colorless, 1 green. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Next up we have Pressure Point, 2 drop, 1 colorless, 1 white. Instant, tap target creature, draw the card. Next up we have Relic Golem, 3 drop, 6/6. Relic Golem can't attack or block unless an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. Pay 2 colorless, tap, target player mills 2 cards. That could be fun if you're playing a mill deck. Next up we have the Soaring Thought Thief, 2 drop, 1/3, 1 blue, 1 black, human rogue. Flash flying, as long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, rogues you control get +1/+0. Whenever 1 or more rogues you control attacks, each opponent mills 2 cards. A rogue mill deck, good God, that could be an interesting concept. Next up we have the Kabari Plateau land for taps for white, or you get the Kabari Takedown, 2 drop, instant, 1 colorless, 1 white. Kabari Takedown deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control, a target creature or planeswalker. And that's an instant too, so put that on the stick to even have more fun. The rare of the deck is the Crawling Barrens. Add a charge counter, pay 4. Put 2 1/1 counters on Crawling Barrens. Then you may have it become a 0/0 elemental creature until end of turn that's still a land. So that could be an interesting concept. We have the Hollow Cascade Seer. Another full art card. And a plant token. 2 packs left. First up, we have the Synchronized Spellcraft. We've already talked about that. We have the Tazeen Royal Mage, Royal Mage, 2-drop, 2/1, Merfolk Wizard, 1 colorless, 1 blue, kicker 4. When the Royal Mage enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. We have the Farsight Adept, we've already talked about. Blood Price, 4-drop, 3 colorless, 1 black, sorcery. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand and the rest at the bottom of your library. In any order, you lose 2 life. Visionary, we've already talked about. Vanquish the Weak, 3-drop, instant, 2 colorless, 1 black. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. Next up, we have the Risen Riptide, 3-drop, 0/5, 2 colorless, 1 blue, elemental. Whenever you cast a kick spell, Risen Riptide, and it has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. So it becomes a 5/10. Next up, we have a Sizzling Barrage, 2-drop, instant, 1 colorless, 1 red, instant. Sizzler Barrage deals 4 damage to target creature that blocked this turn. Next up, we have Dauntless Unity, 2-drop, 1 colorless, 1 white. Kicker, 1 colorless, 1 white. Creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. If the spell was kicked, those creatures get +2/+1 until end of turn. The Highborn Vampire, 4-drop, 3 colorless, 1 black, 4/3. Just a straight warrior. Skyclave Shadowcat, 4-drop, 3/3, cat horror, 3 colorless, black. 1 colorless, 1 black, sack and another creature. Put a 1/1 counter on the Skyclave Shadowcat. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it dies, draw the card. Next up, we have the Relic Vial, 3-drop, artifact, 2 colorless, tap sack, draw a card. We have the Umari Wizard, 5-drop, 4 colorless, 1 blue, 4/3, Merfolk Wizard. Whenever you cast an instant, sorcerer, or wizard spell, Umara Wizard gains flying until end of turn. Or you have the Umara Skyfalls land that produces island. Next up, we have the Inscription of Insight, 4-drop, 3 colorless, 1 blue, sorcery, kicker 4, 2 colorless, 2 blue. Choose 1 if the spell was kicked. Choose any number instead. Return up 2 target creature cards to their owner's hand. Scry 2, then draw 2 cards. Or target player creates a XX blue illusion creature token where X is the number of cards in their hand. That could be fun. Full art plane. And another inset card. So we got our last pack. Royal Mage, Rosal Mage, we already talked about. Expedition Healer, 2-drop, 1 colorless, 1 white, 2/2, Core Cleric, Vengeance. Expedition Healer has lifelink as long as you control another cleric. Pyroclastic Hellion, 5-drop, 4/5, 4 colorless, 1 red, Hellion. When Hellion enters the battlefield, you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. When you do, Pyroclastic Hellion deals 2 damage to each opponent. Next up, we have the Nimara Skitter Sneak, 4-drop, 3/4, 3 colorless, 1 black, human rogue. As long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, the Skitter Sneak gets +1/+1 and has +1/+0 and has menace. Next up, we have Kenzora Necropot, 2-drop, 1/3, 1 colorless, 1 green. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, gain 1 life. Seagate Banneret, we've already talked about. Scale of the Heights, we've already talked about. Cleric of the Chill Depths, we've already talked about. Expedition Champion, we've talked about. Shared Supplies, we've talked about. Shatter Skull Minotaur, we've talked about. Oh, that's one of our uncommons. Blade Master, we've already talked about. The Taunting Arrow Mage, we've already talked about. And the rare is the Hairguard Mauling. 4-drop, 2 colorless, 2 black. This spell costs 1 less to cast if an opponent controls no basic lands. Destroy target creature. Or it